Hello everyone, this is a quiz review. You did not have a quiz today, but there is a quiz tomorrow on Wednesday. And so I just want to go over some questions. The first thing I want to go over, I realize I haven't covered this, but let's say we want to solve equations with elimination. But we get something that looks like this. 1 equals x plus y, and then negative 9y equals negative 72 minus 12x. So let's say we got this. Then if we want elimination, we want it in the form blah x plus or minus blah y equals a number. And so to do that, let's just get these in those forms. So this first one, the 1 equals x plus y, then this is the same thing as x plus y equals 1. So this is in the correct form. Now this one, negative 9y is equal to negative 72 minus 12x. Then to get it in the correct form, we want to add 12x to both sides. So we get 12x minus 9y is equal to negative 72. So now this one is in the correct form. So our new equations are now x plus y equals 1, and, I forgot to write x here, and 12x minus 9y is equal to negative 72. So if we are looking at these, I now want to discuss, once we get these lined up, how to do elimination. Actually, ignore what I was about to say. But anyway, now with these new equations, this is what you would solve. So with elimination, you rewrite it in the form blah x plus or minus blah y is equal to a number, and then you solve those problems. Okay. Now, let's see here. I want to go over some problems from today's homework. If you are in Miss Redmond's class, then this is from yesterday's homework. All right, so let's look at number 13. So I am going to do elimination without using the LCM. So this will always work. So looking at these problems, you will need to still do the rest of the problem the same, but the start of the problem is different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down both of our equations, one on top of the other, and leave a little bit of room to the left. So a little bit of room over here. Then to solve these, what we're going to do is, ignoring the signs, we're going to multiply the top one by the bottom coefficient. So we're going to multiply the top equation by 10. And then we're going to multiply the bottom equation by the coefficient of x of the top one. So we're switching our x coefficients. So that we're going to have 10 times 20 as our new coefficient of x. And then we're going to have 20 times negative 10, which is just 10 times 20, but negative, of our coefficient of x on the bottom. So that when we actually distribute these, I'm making arrows. We're going to do 10 times 20x, 10 times 2y, and 10 times 20. So 10 times 20x is 200x. 10 times 2y is 20y. And 10 times 20 is 200. So that is our new top equation. And then we're going to distribute this 20 with our bottom equation. So we have 20 times negative 10x, which is negative 200x, 20 times negative 8, which is negative 160y, and then 20 times negative 10, which is negative 200. So ignoring the rest, if we just look right here at our first column, you'll see we have 200x minus 200x. So those will cancel because 200x minus 200x is 0. And then we have 20y minus 160y, which is negative 140y. And then 200 minus 200 is 0. Now, I had a student today in class ask the question, hey, is this a no solution? And the answer is no, because we still have a variable. As long as there is a variable left over, it is not one of our special cases. So to finish solving for y, we divide by negative 140, and we get y is equal to 0. So then we just take the y equals 0 and we plug it into one of our equations. So I'm going to plug it into our original top equation. So that's 20x plus 2 times 0 is equal to 20. So we get 20x plus 2 times 0 is 0, so we can leave that alone, it's 20. So to get x, we just divide by 20, and we get x is equal to 1. So our final answer is 1, 0. All right, so we did not use the LCM, but we did end up doing elimination. So one thing I do want to point out is that we had a very convenient, ooh, I can change what there. Okay, here's a pointer. All right, we have a very convenient positive and negative. So what would happen if the negative went away and we had positive 10x here? So the negative went away and positive 10x was there. Boop. Then in order to get negative 200, so if that happened, you'd end up with negative 2 or positive 200 whenever you multiplied it out. So then you'd have 200x plus 200x, and those would not cancel. You want to have opposite signs when we do this. So the way to fix this is you would just put a negative 20 instead of a positive 20. That way you ended up with a positive and a negative of our new coefficient of x. All right, but that's not what happened, so I'm going to erase that and go back to the original problem. Boop, boop. So we had negative 10, negative 200. So just pay attention, make sure you get the same number but opposite signs as your coefficient of x if you use this version of elimination. All right, and you can do this every single time. With all the elimination problems, you will end up with the correct answer as long as you do your math correct. It's just you get bigger numbers that way. Bigger numbers if you don't use the LCM. All right. I'm going to do another problem from your homework. Today, if you're in Miss Botifer's class, and yesterday's homework if you were in Miss Redbin's class. And so let's look at number 8. So number 8 on the homework is a substitution problem with 3 variables. So we're going to make our columns and put our 3 equations in here. So we have 5y minus 4z is equal to 16. We have z is equal to negative 4x plus 6y plus 4. And we have x is equal to 6y plus 2z plus 10. So then before we even start, we want to notice some things. So one of the things is z is already solved for in the second column, and x is already solved for in the third column. In our first column, we only have 2 variables, so that's really nice, whereas the other 2 columns have 3 variables. So when we're doing substitution, just as a reminder, there are 3 main steps or 3 tools we can use, and they all start with S. We can substitute, we can solve for a variable, or we can simplify. As we go through and solve these types of problems, the way you want to make a decision is you want to pick one of these 3 options, and you'll say, I want to substitute or solve or simplify, and then you want to say which column you are doing it in or multiple columns you're working with. So we could say, as our first step, we could solve for, let's go for z. Actually, let's solve for y in our first column, because that's the only thing we haven't solved for, and it's only 2 variables. So that seems like a pretty good first move. So we're solving for y in column 1. So we're going to add 4z to both sides. So we end up with 5y is equal to 16 plus 4z. So to get y by itself, we divide everything by 5. And we end up with y is equal to 16 over 5 plus 4/5 over 5, 4/5 z. Okay. this is kind of gross. All of your answers should end up as integer answers. You're allowed to have fractions in the middle of solving things, but this is gross. Now here is my tip. If you make a decision and you don't like that decision, then you can decide to, from that decision, I'm going to box it or circle it, and I'm going to put a line through it. I'm going to decide to change my mind and do a different first move. So by doing a different first move, maybe I can avoid fractions. I would recommend don't erase your work, because you might end up like making a different move, and the different move is grosser than your original first move, and you'll want to come back. So keep your work, but just mark it as if we're going to ignore it. So now, a different first decision I'm going to make is I'm going to substitute z from column 2. Oops. Z from column 2. Oh, that's not what I want. I want this. Into column 3. So I'm going to take this negative 4x plus 6y plus 4, and I'm going to plug it in for z in column 3. So we've got x is equal to 6y plus 2, and I need to scoot my screen over, times, and then we have negative 4x plus 6y plus 4, and then we have to finish writing the equation plus 10. So we have x is equal to 6y, and then we're going to distribute this too. So we have negative 8x plus 12y plus 8 plus 10. Then we're going to simplify these. And so we have 6y plus 12y. So x is equal to 18y. And then we only have one thing in x. And then we have 8 plus 10, so plus 18. So we've simplified it. So we simplified column 3. And then you might be like, oh, well now we have z solved for and we have x solved for. So z in column 2 and x in column 3. But that's a lie. We don't have x solved for because we have an x on both sides of the equal sign. So in order to have x solved for, we need to get the x's on one side of the equal sign. So let us solve for x in column 3. So we're going to add 8x to both sides of the equal sign. And we'll have 9x is equal to 18y, negative 8x plus 8x cancels, plus 18. So to finish solving for x, divide by 9 all the way across, and we get x is equal to 18 over 9 is 2, plus 2. And this was a much better first move. And so by changing our mind, we ended up with something that has integers, and it's just really, it's much nicer. So if we go back, oops, so I'm going to move it back over. So instead of, ignore, there's going to be weird sounds in the background. I don't know what's going on, but just ignore those weird sounds if it happens. Okay, so if we look, we can now substitute from column 3, our x, and we can put it into our column 2. And so we have z is equal to negative 4. And then we're going from our column 2 to column 3 to column 2. So we're going to do times 2y plus 2 plus 6y plus 4. So we can substitute. So let's simplify. We're going to distribute the negative 4. So we get z is equal to negative 8y minus 8 plus 6y plus 4. And we simplify that, and we get negative 8y plus 6y, which gives us negative 2y. And we have negative 8 plus 4, which gives us minus 4. So now we have both z in terms of y and x in terms of y. So we can go to our first column, and we can plug in our z from column 2, substitute our z from column 2, into our column 1. And we can put it into our original equation because we're ignoring what's going on down here. So we have 5y minus 4 times, and then from column 2 we have the negative 2y minus 4 is equal to 16. Distribute this minus 4, and so we get 5y plus 8y plus 16 is equal to 16. So we have 13y plus 16 is equal to 16. Subtract 16 from both sides, and we get 13y is equal to 0. Divide by 13, and we have y is equal to 0. So now that we have y is equal to 0, we can plug it into our other two columns. So we're going to have z is equal to negative 2 times 0 minus 4. So z is equal to 2 times 0 is 0, so we get negative 4. And in our third column, we have x is equal to 2 times 0 plus 2, which gives us x is equal to 2. So our final answer is the triplet 2, 0, negative 4. Okay, so that is a review of substitution with 3 variables. In your homework, there are problems with 2 variables. But yeah, that is it. So just to remind you, there is a quiz, and it's either going to be tomorrow or Thursday. Bet on it being tomorrow, but if it doesn't say a quiz at the top, then it's just a homework. Which, I mean, for you guys, they're all just homeworks anyway. So, yeah, that's it. Now, big thing I want you guys to know. If you are not submitting your work with your work shown, so if you are just putting in the answers, you will not get full credit on this homework. Make sure to show your work. All right, that's it. Have a good rest of your Tuesday.